Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. Today we're going to be talking about product distributors. So if you have a great product perfect for stores and you're trying to figure out how to work with product distributors, this training will give you some things to think about and how to get started today. With that said, let's get started on today's training. So let's talk about product distributors. This is a very important conversation for some of you because you don't have a choice in working with them. Let me explain. When you work with big chain stores, there's a lot of categories of products that they buy. Some products lean toward distributors and working with them, and others do not. So when you are building out your strategy, you need to know if your category predominantly focuses on distributors. And that means that you have to sell to a retailer in a different way than other products. It's been an ongoing situation for a lot of you because distributors are third parties who essentially can get your products out into the world in various ways. And they take a hefty fee for their efforts, meaning that they've set up sales distribution strategies for your particular category. And they've basically built out a scenario where they're almost really needed by that retailer, but also for the nature of the situation. What that means is, let's use Ingram Micro as an example. Ingram Micro is one of the world's largest distributors for consumer electronics products and so forth. They have built in a way for retailers to pick up a lot of products through them. The benefit to the retailer of working with an Ingram Micro is Ingram has tons of sales reps. They've already built in a lot of set up with these retailers. They handle a lot of the shipping, the deliverability, and also they're very well versed in what they do. And so it allows a retailer to focus on what they do best, which is selling products and then grabbing stuff, all the hot, latest, coolest, whatever things through these distributors. Ingram has built an entire business around selling to the retailers and so forth, big ones and small ones. And if Ingram picks up your product, then what they do is they redistribute it out to their people, equaling stores or whoever they sell to, right? So with that said, if you get an opportunity to work with Ingram Micro, it can be amazing. However, they generally are looking for amazing deals to purchase your product and resell it to their companies. And that means that you need to sell them at a deep discount. And when it comes to consumer electronics, you're already having some struggles with margins and so forth. So what we want you to think about is sometimes you can't do anything about it, where you're reaching out to a retailer and then they say, we need you to work with a distributor and then we'll work with you. So what that means is a lot of times the buyer might push you to a distributor, and that includes food as well. As an example, a lot of times they work with distributors with food. There's certain categories where they're dealing with distributors. And so there are other categories where they're not. It's not a big deal. They don't need it, if that makes sense. With food, they're talking about perishable stuff. The distributor is essentially distributing it out faster. It helps the buyer along to be able to get the stuff set up correctly. There's a third party handling it. Some of the online components, there are distributors as well. And that means that there's certain companies that have come in and basically locked up their online websites. In exchange, they're handling the shipping, the deliverability. They're handling the headache for the retailer. In exchange, the distributor gets a cut of every unit sold. How distributors work varies a little bit based on scenario. It's either they're buying the product or reselling it. And I've seen situations where the distributors are actually just taking a huge cut off the top of your product price. And then you're just working with them and they're getting it out to the retailer. And ultimately, you just took a big chunk of your revenue. And that's how they handle things with products. So with that said, if I was you and I was starting out and I was trying to build a business with consumer products, I would try initially to avoid working with distributors, not because I dislike them. It's just that I like to keep my money, but that's me. Not everybody cares. I like to have as much money as possible all the time because product businesses are expensive and you have like things going on and things break or this or that. I don't know. I just like to always have an extra cushion for my business. If I can help it, I'm going to try to go directly to the retailer. And then if they tell me I have to work with a distributor, then I will go to the distributor and I'll set up a deal with them. The other part of it is a lot of distributors don't pick up the phone. They do not answer your call unless you're successful. A lot of times, not always. This is a very generalized conversation because there's different product categories and I could say a lot about each one. But let's just say a lot of the bigger guys don't call you back unless you've already been doing all these amazing things. And then they just like low-hanging fruit of money because you did all the work and then they'll pick you up. It's like convenience stores. When you work with convenience stores, a lot of them, there's so many stores. So you have to get somebody to drive and go open up different accounts. That's why distributors can be very useful in that scenario where they're driving around, they're opening up accounts for you, and the distributor already has people doing that all day long. So you don't have to constantly open up the accounts and also replenish whatever products are being sold in that store because there's a lot of movement with these smaller stores, but they don't buy as much. So there's just a lot of human interaction where distributors are very useful in that way. But a lot of times, and I know this personally through years of doing this, where people are trying to get a distributor to help them with the convenience store products, and honestly, they won't look at you until you opened up a bunch of accounts, showed proof, and then they'll pick up the phone, and then maybe they will sell it out to the world, which is very unfair for some of you who've never sold anything to these stores before. And that's where a lot of businesses go under in the retail space because it's okay. So you want me to make a bunch of money first, and then you'll pick up my product. And that's why I teach what I teach, because at some point, if you just open up a few accounts and all the best distributors and all the best reps will start calling you, which is very rude, right? Because you just want to make money, and why they don't pick up your product versus someone who they've been working with a while is honestly because they're running a business and they know that it takes time to open up a business in a consumer product scenario. A lot of times it takes time to get the retailer to say yes. The first sale is always the hardest, the second sale, and so forth. After that, it's a lot easier, and then the distributors are happy to help. So we live in a very confusing time where distributors are everywhere and everyone thinks you have to work with distributors. I'm here to tell you, I get lots of products in the stores without working with distributors. And honestly, I don't mind working with them, but I want the good ones, and I want the ones who have a lot of reps, because if I'm going to work with a distributor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that they are my extended sales force. If I'm giving you that kind of money in exchange for my product and all the things that are involved in that, I need to make sure that you're selling it correctly. There's a lot of work involved with working with the distributor. On top of the fact that you're representing me, I'm going to make sure that not only I do a good job with marketing collateral and make sure that you're like set up properly, but also once we start working together and you do good work for me and you get me into a store, I'm going to find out how many stores you sell into already, and I'm going to try and squeeze that distributor to help scale my business in a lot of ways, meaning I'm going to find out which retailers they work with and try and see if the distributor can expand further, and then I'm going to use them back. That's what I essentially do with distributors. You're going to use me with my product, and I'm going to do all the work, and then I'm going to get you in and all the things, and then you get billed out. But then in exchange, you know what? I want to take some money back too, and I'm going to scale it up and try and get you to do all my sales for me if I can. Now, you can't always win, and sometimes you have to do it anyways. So it's a dance. Retail is a dance. It's either you're going to go in frustrated that you're dealing with a distributor, or you're going to be excited about the possibility they have a lot of people and feet on the street, or you're going to be annoyed that the distributor's not calling you back. But then you know that you got to figure out how to communicate with these retailers for a little while, build it up, then go back to the right distributors. Then know there's a big hit. How bad do you want it? How far do you want to go? And also, you don't always have to go with a distributor. Even a lot of food products I know can get into stores without a distributor. It depends on what it is and so forth. It varies based on product type and category. So the bottom line is a lot to think about. Don't take it personally if the distributor's not calling you back. If you want to learn how to get some sales so that distributors pick you up, you are a business owner and you're going to have to help yourself a little bit in the beginning, which is very annoying when you're not a salesperson. And that's why I created my core Retail MBA system, to get you off the ground so then you can play with the big dogs and make a lot more money and scale up and have other people do things for you. It's just how this business works. It's not for you to be a rep all your life. You're welcome to do it, but that's the other possibility. And there's so many ways to get a distributor to answer the phone. We teach all that stuff in our systems. This is Karen Waksman, Retail MBA. At least you got a feel for how distributors work. A lot of times they're buying your stuff, putting it in the warehouse, shipping it out to retailers, and they're buying it at a deep discount, or they work another type of deal with you where they're just extending it out to the retailers at a deep discount. Either way, you're losing some money, but they buy more and they have more feet on the street. And maybe you like that. And some people just don't want to do this work at all, and you're willing to do that. Other people just want to keep all the money and they're willing to do a few strategies. I'm the one on the making money as much as possible in my pocket for as long as possible before I have to send it out into the world. Up to you how you want to do it. There's no wrong way. There's pros and cons to everything. Karen Waksman, Retail MBA. I hope this helped you figure out distributors. Thanks so much.